right. I think we might be live. Pretty sure we are. Let me know if you're able to see the stream. Thanks for joining. If you are watching the replay, thanks for coming over here. And I appreciate it. All right, so today we're going to... Hey, Christine, how are you? We're going to start a new study here. So we're going to draw some hair. Hey, Carol, how are you? So I've got a black and white version and got a color version. We're going to draw on warm Stonehenge paper. Got a few other references, one this size, so I'm thinking I'll do it about that size. And probably, it might be a little bit bigger than that. Probably be in between. Well, not in between, but a little bit bigger than this. Because we're mostly just going to focus on the hair. Well, that is all we're going to do. Because what I think we'll do, now remember, it takes a lot longer to draw on Stonehenge paper. So, hey, Harry, thanks for joining. We'll probably... spend a couple of days on this, and then, hey, David, thanks for joining. And then what we'll do is we'll switch over to some other hair. I think this hair is fairly interesting, but it's also less complex than what we could be doing. So there are some other types of drawings of hair that can be more complex than this. So first, let's take a look at this. And if you're wanting to download the reference, you can go over to sharpenedartist.com/livestreams and scroll all the way down. This is our fourth drawing study in the in this particular series. Okay, so we're looking at this profile view, but what we're also doing is we're looking down on the subject a little bit more than a straight profile view. So we're seeing some of this foreshortening happening then right down in here. But for the hair in particular, then we want to look at the structure here. So we're looking at part of the top of the head. We're looking at the side plane view a little bit. Our lightest areas, the brightest highlights are right through here. So there is a light source coming over from this direction. It's hitting the hair right in here, bouncing back to us as the viewer. So we had several join here. Linda, thanks for joining. Ramona, thanks for joining. How are you guys? And Sergi Man. Hey, Sergi, man, thanks for the feedback on the podcast. He's over there on YouTube Live. Appreciate that. Yeah, we did a podcast on Goldfaber, and yeah, it's one that, we don't talk about a whole lot. And, I had students that would use Goldfaber from time to time, and one in particular started using Goldfaber. And that's how I was first introduced to that particular brand of pencil. Okay, so this is long hair. It's tucked up in this area right here. I don't know. There might be a clip back there or something, whatever. We've got some other hair doing some interesting things here, and this particular area is crossing over some of the other longer hair. There's some darker areas right in here. Probably this is dyed hair, and it's got a little bit of streaking going on, right? So, all right. Let's start to lay out the structure here. And what I want to do is I want to look at just the black and white version for a moment then. While I do that, and I'll tape this over here. Yeah, Sergi, man, that's a good question. I think he's asking if I'm going to use just the limited palette with the 24 set of the Derwent Lightfast, or are we going to use more pencils? And I'm going to use more pencils on this one, I believe. I think what I'm going to do is going to probably just try to limit it to the Derwent Lightfast pencils. But I'm not going to limit it to that set. I'm going to look and see what I've got here and try to work that way. Okay, so I'm going to use... I don't get too hung up on certain things like this. So this is what I have handy over there in my Col Erase line, and that's usually what I'll use. You can use graphite pencils or whatever. And out of these, these are what's handy. I could reach into a drawer and find more pencils, but I'm just going to use this red. So I don't really need to fish around for anything else. A gray would work, might work even better, but this is a terracotta. It'll work just fine. All right, so I'm going to figure out the dimensions here, how much of this, we're going to use, much of this paper. So probably over here, and then up here, see, it's kind of an odd shape. Probably the highest spot would be right in there. And then we'll come down this way. So, Sergio, man, you're asking, do erasable colored pencils blend out with specific mediums such as Powder Blender and OMS? I don't know, because I've not ever used them in that way. So, I'm not sure. I only use them for layout and when I'm just starting a drawing. So I'm not real sure about that. If it possibly could work. There's some of that neck right in here, about like that. And then I want to capture this little bit of border of where the hair is. Okay. Somia says, replying to Ramona. Yes, Ramona. What did Ramona ask? Is it active? Can anyone hear? And I'm guessing, Somia, you're able to hear me. Is anyone else having a problem hearing? I'm guessing not, but let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. I guess you wouldn't reply if I ask if you can hear and you can't. So. Okay. Okay, so everybody's hearing me. All right. Well, some are, apparently, on Facebook and YouTube. So, not sure what's going on with Ramona's setup. All right. Let's pull this over here. This kind of comes down. Let's see. It goes back this way. Back up over here. Okay. The whole point is not to have the... Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, I can... David, you're funny. Yeah, I can hear you. All right. Okay, and then I can go over this way. So now that Now that I have this structure around the outside, then I can start adding a few of a few of the other structural elements, because the biggest thing is I want to get some kind of roadmap in here on the boundary where we're going. Okay, and this is more flat right up here. Comes back. Okay. Comes out like this. Comes down here somewhere, probably right in here. And then with this kind of a pretty small forehead. And then we've got eyebrow. Right in here. Just want to make sure we get certain things in here correctly, so that we can have something that is fairly representational here. Okay. Moves back this way, down here. All right. Okay, now it's probably enough to get started. Okay, so I've got a little bit. Oh, I could zoom in a little bit more, I suppose. So let me do that. And maybe you can see it a little bit better if I do that. Okay, so we've got enough to go on here. And now we can look at a few of these things and just get some hard angles in here to begin with. That's actually up a little bit closer, I think, right in here. And then this one. We got that major, let me see if I can grab this. This major sweeping motion right here with that, this particular block of hair right there. And that's the way that I want to think about it, especially in the beginning, is I want to think of blocks and abstract images. I don't want to think of individual strands. That could be that would be murder at this point. That would just be murder, because you're going to defeat yourself before you ever begin. Yes, so Linda's asking if I'm on Stonehenge. Yes, I'm on Stonehenge warm. That's the color. Stonehenge warm. Okay, so we got that part right in there. We could minimize that part. It's a little bit of. It's not always the most attractive thing to create a whole lot of scalp in your drawing. So we could eliminate some of that and just pretend like, we're not seeing all that scalp. Okay, this needs to come up just a little bit right in here. And there is an ear here. All right. don't really care about the overall anatomy too much, but I want to get it somewhat sketched in there. And the glasses back here. Okay, and then beyond the glasses is this little bit of hair that sweeps back that way. And this area right in here. Okay. So I want to take a look at it and see if there's anything that I might need to change. I don't think so. This can do something like that, just to remember that that's there. Okay, so now where are these large blocks? That's what I want to look at. So that part is right up in here. It actually curves a little bit right there, and then it's lost right in there. And I can't see it any longer because of hair. So you can see it a lot right here. This strand, though, takes over this area. Okay. That's funny, Ramona. Ramona's asking over on Facebook, how would she draw me with eliminating scalp? Let's see here. Yeah, my daughters keep telling me I need to draw myself, and it's on the list. I'll do that one of these days. Okay, so right in here, if this is a good anchor spot, you know, I can use that proportion right there where the ear is, and then move that all the way back, and it tapers down and then comes up at the last second a little bit right in there. Okay, so this is a whole large block over here, and it comes down nearly right in there, so somewhere right in there. That's a whole area right there. Yeah. It's funny, Carol. Yeah, I've heard a lot of different expressions about how to refer to your bald head. It's funny because, man, baldness was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I don't miss hair at all. I haven't had a haircut in probably 20, 25 years. But that was just a colossal waste of time, I felt like. Okay. So this is darker right in here. And then this area, probably went a little bit too dark right there with this collar race. I don't want that to be that dark. So it goes up like this anyway. And then this hair tucks under that one. And then this is darker over here. And then just a whole lot of mess going on right in there. So we'll interpret all that later. Okay. All right. Yeah, so this is a little, I want to look for some of those softer areas as well that don't need to be in strong focus. If I make everything in focus and just every little single strand for sure, but even some of the larger blocks of hair that are connected to other areas like this area right in here. If I start trying to detail out this one, that one, this one, that one right in there, over here, and all over there, then I'm not doing myself any favors by doing that. So I don't want to do that. I want to look for, instead, I want to look for this. I want to look for this large block of hair. This little border right here because of some shadows or highlights right in there. I don't want to think about what it is right now. And then this right here, perhaps. This big long strand here. This over here. And then this whole area. Catch a few of the little details, but not a lot. All right. So now, probably got enough to work with there. We'll work on that part later, I guess. Hey, Hillary, how are you? Nice for you to join. And you're embarking on a portrait, the hair portion in the portrait drawing class. Oh, cool. Very cool. All right. So, Peggy, no, Peggy is joining over there on Facebook. Thanks for joining. No, we're not using sanded paper. We're using Stonehenge this time. So, oh, good, Hillary. Good to see you over here. All right. So that's probably enough structure for what we're going to do. All right, so we'll put the call erase down, and we don't need to use it anymore. It just gave us our layout. That's it. So now for those that like to I'm going to go ahead and mention this, but those that like to email me later and tell me how bad my structure and form was and how off I was from my reference and all of that, go ahead and start your emails. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that, but I really don't care. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I just don't care about all the... We've worded it like this. I don't care that the structure is just perfect. It doesn't really matter. We're trying to draw hair. That's what we're doing. So we just got something down on paper, and we have a reference that we can use loosely so that we can demonstrate how to draw hair with colored pencil. That's the point. So if you want to grab that reference over there at sharpenedartist.com/live streams, and you want to draw the most perfect, flawless rendition of that reference, then be my guest. That's fine. But that's just not the objective here today. So, all right. I hope that made sense. I know I'll still get some emails, and that's fine. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just letting you know that isn't the point of what we're trying to do. Okay. So this is the fun part to me. Well, it's all fun, but anyway, this is another fun part. It's choosing colors. But before I do that, Harry's asking, how do you decide which paper to use? Well, in this case, I wanted to use Stonehenge in particular because we've used in these live streams, we've used sanded paper. We used a smooth Strathmore smooth paper, and we used pastel mat. And that was in the mouth series that we did the pastel mat. And so now I wanted to use one of my favorite papers, which is Stonehenge, because you can get so many layers on Stonehenge. And hair can be kind of challenging, but it can also be something that's kind of fun to just use a whole bunch of layers to get a lot of these gradients and these transitions between the dark areas and the highlights. And I think it'll afford us a lot of opportunity to show some of that. And I know that a lot of you use Stonehenge. You're familiar with Stonehenge. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a great paper. It's one of my favorites. So I would highly recommend Stonehenge. Now, this is the warm color of Stonehenge. Okay, so this is blonde hair. If you haven't downloaded the reference, I'll hold it up here for a moment. This is blonde hair, all right? Okay, so this background here, Harry, will help us a little bit anyway because of the color, a little bit. It'll help a little bit with that. Yeah, so Harry's mentioning that some people claim there's a difference between the individual sheets and the pads of Stonehenge, and there is differences sometimes, but not enough to be all that significant, in my opinion. Some people make a bigger deal out of it than I think it really warrants, but that's my opinion. I'll use either one. It does seem to have, the individual sheets does seem to have sometimes a little more tooth. So Carol, you got your first sheets of Lux Archival arriving tomorrow. Wow, that is so exciting. That is very cool. You're welcome, Harry. Okay, so right in the middle here is going to be our lightest area, and what we'll probably end up doing is we'll fill that in with some abstract shapes so that we can pull those back out later on. That'll make more sense as we go through this. But at the beginning, what I want to kind of do is just define some of these large areas first, and it will look kind of mechanical a little bit in the beginning. But then as we progress, we'll start softening that just a little bit, and it'll make more sense, and I'll define what I'm meaning by that as we move through the piece. But let's see here. I want to find some pencils that we want to use, and I want to think of the mid-range and a little bit darker than the mid-range. So, and blonde hair is not always as blonde as we think it is. So a lot of the blonde that we're seeing has red in it. Sometimes green, sometimes, the colors that you wouldn't think. Because normally you're going to think of what? You're going to think of ochre, you're going to think of browns, and that's all true. If you've got a lot of good tans that you can use, things like that, then that's a good way to go. But there's also some other colors that creep in there as well. All right. I'm so excited about this. I stumbled across my Merlot pencil. I thought I used it up in something recently, but apparently I didn't. Sharpen a few of these. Whoops. Yeah, so I don't know how many of you guys are going to be following along, but that'll be a lot of fun if you do. And I would love to see what you're working on. So that would be great. Okay, I'm looking through my pencils. Would I ever use lavender for shading blonde hair? I don't know that I ever have, Hillary. It's a fair question, and depends on the lighting. That might be the right choice. Probably is a good choice once in a while because of the lighting. That could be a good option. Because I use reds often. It depends on the lighting. So this wild lavender might be a good one once in a while, and actually it looks like it could be one that we could use even in this particular reference. So, all right, I want to see, hopefully you guys, I'll put it down here, maybe you'll see it better if I do that. So ruby earth, I know what that looks like, but I'm going to put this down here so you can see it, and maybe we'll zoom in just a little bit. It's going to be at the bottom of the frame there though. So my Merlot so excited about. Not a whole lot of difference between these. This one reminds me a lot of Caput Mortem in Polychromos, though. And a good old sepia, of course. Such a nice, rich, good brown color for shadows. That's going to be a good one. Okay. And all right. So I'm thinking for some highlights, I'm really thinking about the Naples. That's going to react just a little different, perhaps, on this colored paper. But I think that'll be a good one. And, of course, that may be coupled with some white. So, let me see here. I think actually I might go with the Derwent Drawing Chinese White. I got to see what I did with that. Here it is. So I want to put some of these colors in. I put the sheet down on top of some of my other pencils. So I want to put these colors over here, not forget which ones I'm using. And that one, and then white. That's not going to show up, but it's white. There we go. All right. And we could, I'm thinking about using my dark indigo. Probably will. So I'll stick that over there. And there's another sienna right there. So Hillary is asking if there's a particular white pencil that I like best, or will I use white ink ever? No, I probably won't ever use white ink. Not with, if it's a mixed media piece that maybe I'm not, worried about, anything archival or anything like that. Then, like if I put that on top is what I'm meaning, then maybe I'll use white ink. If you use white ink on the bottom, maybe that's a way to go. But I don't use ink very often. That's just not something I do. So I'm probably not going to use that. Okay, we've got this white oyster, oyster color is what it's called, which wouldn't be a bad one either. There is the problem with drawing hair where we do have some really dark darks, and then we have some bright highlights, is if we got this close enough and we really examined it, we would probably see some gray in there. I'm not talking about gray hair. I'm talking about the color gray as a hue. It's like a washed out taupe kind of color, right? Though net effect is it's gray. That's not going to make for a very convincing blonde hair, and so I probably don't want to use that, is my point. Okay, so I need some mid-range browns in here, darker ochre colors. I'll look around, see what I've got, and let's try this guy out. That's nice. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that, though. Move my light just a little bit. Maybe you can see that better. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's actually a good one. So that's brown ochre. Let's see here. Burnt sienna might be too orange, and it is. So that one's out. Okay. pulled out another brown ochre. I don't need two really, but I'll put it over there. This one's probably too orange as well. Oh, no. That's not too bad. It's not bad at all. So that is dark honey. I like that. All right. So in the Polychromos line, if you're going to use Polychromos, and you're going to start working on this, then what you could do is you could use some of those warm grays, as long as you're using something with a little more color with it. You know, you don't want to use that warm gray by itself, you know, because you get those various degrees of gradation in the warm gray and cool grays in the Polychromos line. And those are nice because you can use them to show a gradient, but they also will age this particular person. It'll make her hair look gray, obviously. But it can show gradient underneath, and you can use like this grisaille kind of method and then put color on top, like your ochres and your you know, brown ochre, and show the gradient just by layering and by some of the pressure that you may apply. Okay. Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm going to stick only with, that's a little too orange for my taste right there. I'm not only going to stick with light fast, I don't think, but I might. I want to kind of try to do that, but there may be a time where we get into it and then we'll be like, we need to use something else, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to look and see what this one looks like. That's not a bad color either. That's sepia red. Sepia red. That's a good rich tone right there. All right. Yeah. Really like that. Okay, so sepia red. Sepia red. And these were two reds. That was my Merlot, I believe. And then that was, what was that? That was my Ruby Earth. That's what I figured. And that was sepia, I believe. This was brown ochre, right? And then that was Naples. I'm abbreviating. Okay. That was oyster, I know that. That one's out. That one's out. This one was dark honey, I believe. Yep. Okay. So that's enough, I think, to go on. Okay. So I think I'll start with that sepia. You know, there's some really nice pencils in the Luminance line that would work really well with hair like this. Let me sharpen some of these pencils here. I should have looked at this pencil sharpener. Forgot I used it a lot this morning. It is full. It is all the way to the top. I don't know if you can see that. Having problems because of it. So go to my alternate sharpener. There we go. Okay. So I want to take a look at some of these areas right in here. I want to start putting in some of the darkest areas first. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've heard it both ways, Carol. So, yeah. Sepia, sepia, maybe something else even. That's funny. All right. Now this is going to look a little darker, and one of the reasons why I will start pretty dark also is because I want it to show up on camera. So zoom back out just a little bit. And if I go really, really light, I'll try to get a little closer here. Just let me know if my head gets in the frame, and I'll try to back up a little bit. But if I go very, very light, then you're not going to be able to see it on camera either. Okay, I want to see where this structure is right here. So glasses over here. There's an ear here. Okay. And then this. I'm going to make that line over there for the neck so we know where this is. Okay. So, Hillary, that'd be great if I could show the split screen and show the reference at the same time. I can't do that, though. You can go and download your own copy or just look at it yourself over at sharpenedartist.com/livestream. Scroll all the way down to the 4th drawing study. That'll give you the reference. Maybe I could do this. Let me see here. Maybe I could put it over here. Would that help? Let me see. See what I can do here. We will improvise. Maybe we'll do that in the future, though, Hillary. That's not a bad idea. How about that? Will that help? I may do that. I'll just tape it over here. That way you can see it. Okay, good. Okay, let me see here. So I want to make sure. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let me see. Very welcome. And then I can tape it down here so there's not a shadow happening. Maybe that'll help too. Okay. All right. Good. Now I don't have to look at my face I tried to draw there. I can just focus on the hair too, so that'll help. And I can look at this as well. So it's a good idea. Okay, so this area goes up here. We've got this area where I'm trying to skip around, look for dark shadows. I don't need all those details in there right now. And I've got some of this hair coming back this way. I have to remind myself I'm drawing just a little bit larger than this reference. Okay, and then this strand. It's got that other strand that kind of joins up with it. All right. And then it reaches around here. All right. So back here, I want to say a little bit about what's going on. So I'll put a little bit of that shadow back in here. This is all a little bit darker right in there. And this area as well. Strengthen some of the outline while I'm in here. I think that will help a little bit. Okay, that's darker right in there. Okay. And then this turns a little bit darker right over here as it turns. And okay, let's see here. So I can put some linear lines over here to indicate some of the shading right in there. So it is darker right in there. And there's a little bit of a border over here that I want to grab. I want to indicate where those glasses are, though. Okay. And so this hair comes up over the ears. There we go. So this moves back. There's this block of hair that's going back, and then some of it comes down over here. And then there's some interesting things going on in between there, and we won't worry about that at the moment. Okay, so now let's make this just a little bit darker. And then it's also dark in the opposite direction up here on the other side of where that part is. By the time we're done, we don't want a line up there indicating anything. But what we'll do instead is we'll have, you know, some of these individual clumps of hair, these blocks of hair. Okay, let's get a little bit of this darker area in here. And keep moving this back. And this comes down. So this is all within a mid-range area right in there. All right. And then some hair going in the wrong direction right here. It's happening over here as well. And then we've got something that kind of looks like a little bit of a bun or something going on up here. If you're able to call out what something is when you're drawing, that helps. Or it does me. It helps me to understand it more. And so if you know names of things, sometimes just knowing the name will help. It'll help you to understand it, help you to draw it better. And why is that? I don't know. Maybe just because you're becoming more familiar with whatever the item is, you know. I need to sharpen this pencil. I don't keep a point very long with that other sharpener that I'm having to use at the moment. Okay. Try to be careful to use very, very, very light pressure. And trying to also be careful now to not scrub, not go back and forth like this. Instead, I'm going in one direction. That will help to protect this very, very sensitive tooth on the paper. Stonehenge has very sensitive tooth. It's a sensitive paper. And that way I can get more layers. I have more options if I do that. Add some more strokes over here to help show that gradient in that dark area. Okay, and then I want to come back here and make that quite a bit darker. As I fade away from that area that is casting a shadow, then I want to lighten up my pressure. And that will give me a very light and faint gradient. All right, so now I want to come back over here. Yeah, this hair turns back in the other direction. Goes way out here, and it turns back. But there's all this hair right in here. This is where I am, by the way. That is underneath this lighter hair. So what this gives us an opportunity to do then is to put that highlight in there. And remember, we reserve this Chinese white. And so it's not going to be white by the time we're done. But early on in the process, what we're trying to do is we're grabbing these highlight areas and we're just saying, let's preserve that area so that if we get a brighter, a darker color, pencil color in there, it's not going to destroy the tooth over there. It's not going to destroy the paper. And I can erase whatever's on top of this white and pull that highlight back out. That's what we want. So let's go back down here and let's suggest these highlights. And again, they're not going to be white, but it's a good place to start, and then we'll add color on top. But we're also using this color of paper to our advantage as well. Because even when I'm putting in white, it's not white, is it? Because it's this warm color, it has a little bit of a reddish brown tint to it. There we go. Okay, now same thing over here. we can reserve some of these areas. And this, this will start to make more sense when we use it. Right now, we're just planning for it. I'm using fairly about medium pressure, I would say. Fairly hard compared to what I was doing. Just so I can get this on here. And I do want it saturated, Okay, this area right in here is the brightest area. I interpret this area and this area as the brightest areas in the entire piece. Okay. I hope all of you mothers had a wonderful Mother's Day. Feels like that was a long time ago, but it was just yesterday. Okay, this area comes back down over here. And then we'll get all of this right in here. Using the side of the pencil a little bit. I don't normally do that. But it is something that we can do. All right. You guys still over there? Hopefully you can still hear me. Just want to make sure. Sometimes when it's quiet, I'm wondering if I lost connection or something. I cannot believe we've been drawing for about an hour already. The time does fly. Okay. Now, you may look at that and you may think, oh, there's nothing there. He didn't put anything on there, but I did. So yeah, you could actually do that, Hillary. Not a bad way to go. I nearly did that. So Hillary's asking about using bright white paper as opposed to cream color. Yeah, so this is warm, is what this one is called. The cream in the Stonehenge is actually a little bit different. Oh, no, I'm wrong. So this is warm. I'm using cream. So maybe I said that correctly a while ago. I don't remember. I think I said that wrong. And then this is white. So there are, different shades here. Hopefully you can see this. But I don't know, it might be kind of hard to tell on camera, but this is more yellow. This warm is. This cream color is a little more red, and it's more of a brownish color, to be honest. So I think it's going to help us quite a bit with doing some of the blonde hair. Yeah, I'm reading what Ramona said. Yeah, very, very true. Hair has, it's not my favorite part. I'll just put it that way. It's been something that, we've had a love-hate relationship, Hair and I. And not just because I'm bald, but drawing hair is what I mean. It can be challenging. Okay, I know it doesn't look like we got much done, Trust me. This is adequate. This is good. It's more than you might think, and that will become more and more evident as we pick this up tomorrow and do more on it. And I can't wait. I'm really kind of excited about this. No, thanks, Hillary. Yeah, it's you're able to see that white. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but if you can see it, that's good. Yeah, it's on there, and so it will influence the color enough, to where we're able to do something with it, and it's not noticeable a whole lot right now, but it will be, later. So we just have to remember the vision and what we have in mind. So, all right, guys. Well, great, Ramona. Thank you. Thanks for coming out here, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the live stream for now. I think we did enough where you can probably, follow along with what we've done. Don't get hung up on which particular pencils that you use. You can use other pencil lines. So just pick some, and you can go with it. So tomorrow we're going to keep progressing. 5 o'clock, if you're able to be here, same time, that we're met right now, and Wednesday. So we'll get a lot done on this, more than what you might be thinking. So Carol says, does the other pencils work over the top of the drawing pencil? Yes, they do. And that's part of the fun part of drawing hair, is getting, establishing those bright highlights early on. Just, abstract areas, and then you're going to be able to pull those out, and then you'll be able to see what's underneath, and we'll have that preserved because of that white that was in there. So all right. Yeah, Hillary, I feel you there. We're all doing this, right? We're all in a shelter-in-place situation. So, all right, guys, same time, same place tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'll talk to you then. Until then, stay sharp. Bye-bye.